All praise be to Allah, Brother Charles 7X. Rich Rise and another day, another dollar. So I've had this idea for a while, you know. I've done a bunch of different rooms, and people who know, you guys been in there with me. If you're new to this, you know, we have rooms on Clubhouse, and I record those rooms, and I made those rooms into different podcasts. And you know, as I've started to get into the nation, as I process, and now I have my ex, I have, you know, been studying a lot, and I studied beforehand. You know, that's one of the things that comes with joining the nation or something. It's like when you join, people act like all of a sudden you just now start studying, and for a lot of brothers they have. So I'm not saying it in a way that is negative to anybody who's just now starting to find knowledge of self. What I'm saying is, a lot of us have been on this path, and it's important to know that, because you know, we are tied to a higher spirit. We are tied to something bigger than ourselves. And once you have that understanding that some of this information you always knew, you know, it makes what you have to do a little bit better, you know. So without going into that, I definitely wanted to get a little bit more into the topic at hand. And so today, make sure you share, make sure you comment, make sure you share all of this information and things that I'm sharing, because you might help somebody, and hopefully this helps someone as well. You know, if you don't agree, you could go ahead and put in the comments. But you know, I think that a lot of our brothers and sisters are in the caves. You know, mentally and physically, we're in a cave. You know, and that's not really for us. You know, once you kind of understand the true history and knowledge of self, and what Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us about, you know, the true history of Moses. You know, after Yaqub made the white men, they were exiled to the caves, you know, and they crossed the burning sands, you know, and spent 2,000 years inside of the caves. And then that 2,000 years inside of the caves, they were, they reverted. They lost their natural selves, you know. They turned into they started to walk on all fours. They started to sleep with animals. They lost knowledge of self and all true civilization of who they are. And after 2,000 years, Allah, God sent Moses, you know, and Moses came to civilize them out of the caves, you know, and we will definitely get into more of that, but that's just a background of where we are right now. And I want to start by just saying, you know, right now we are in the caves. The definition of a cave is a natural chamber or series of chambers in the earth or in the side of a hill or cliff. 2, usually underground chamber for storage. 3, a place providing privacy or seclusion from others, right? And so what we know is that this man, once they came out of the caves, they have been obsessed with making everybody else go through the same things that they have went through. You know, we'll get into the ideology of that another day, but right now, you know, when we think about COVID-19, it has us in a cave. We think about working in certain jobs we have, they got us in a cave. When we think about some relationships that we have, they got us in a cave. And while we're in that cave, we're losing all of our civilization. COVID-19 has us believing that the government and the white man is all powerful. It has us in fear. It has us ready to put all kinds of foreign things inside of our bodies, just to try to keep a job or keep this or keep that, instead of staying home, taking care of ourselves, staying clean, taking care of our families, making sure that we're healthy, we're eating right, we're drinking water, and we aren't lessening ourselves by staying in the midst of all of this craziness and everything that is going on in the world outside today. We have to have an understanding that all of these things, fear is what kept them in the caves. Us as original men, the world, we are indigenous to the planet. That's what we're taught by Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We are indigenous to the planet. We came with the planet trillions of years ago. So with that ideology and understanding, then the planet cannot and will not rid us if we are righteous. You understand? And so living in righteousness means living upright and standing upright and, getting ourselves out of the caves, getting ourselves out of the expectation somebody else is supposed to do something for us, get ourselves out of working these jobs that we hate and that we feel like we less than. Nobody's telling you just to quit your job and leave today, because you still have family, you still have things that you need to take care of. You have all kinds of goals and things that and bills that need to be taken care of. So you say, Brother Charles, what am I supposed to do? You are a great human being. Most of you guys come from the lineage of God, and if you come from that lineage, then you could do whatever you want to do, but you have to not have fear. Fear kept them in the cave for 2,000 years. Fear of going outside, fear of standing upright, fear of facing adversity. The only way you're going to make it through something is you have to face it. A lot of us are in bad relationships, with people who don't respect us and people who don't see the value in what you're trying to do. They see value in it for themselves. They don't understand or see what it is for you. And that relationship could be a cave. Every time you go into that relationship, you losing your civilization, you going backwards, you walking on all fours, you acting like an animal. You're not being yourself, you're not being healthy, you're not letting that light shine through. And right now what we see in Black America is a lot of us are in the caves. A lot of us are in bad friendships or in bad relationships with churches and men and women, family members. We're in jobs that we hate. Fear from COVID has us stuck in a place of arrested development. We stuck in the caves. And because we're in the caves, we're not like ourselves. We're out here imitating savages and we're dying like savages because of it. Gun violence is amazing right now. Not amazing in a good way, but amazing in the way of how did we get here, But I would say that our government knew this was coming and this day was on the way since last summer. After George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, we had such momentum and then we lost it by not being ourselves, by trying to take on other people's fights. You know, by trying to assimilate to other people, we split ourselves in half. And then we split that half into quarters and that quarters into eighths. And then we just spread all over the place. But one thing that I realized is that our government, they don't split. They stay the same, family. They don't split. They don't move. They don't do any of that. They stay exactly the same. So, as we split into quarters and eighths, I watch the government just plan to leave us to ourselves. And it was a perfect chance, and it's still a perfect opportunity for us to police ourselves. But what we did was get so caught up into the Donald Trump, Joe Biden fearmonger contest that a lot of our brothers and sisters went out and bought guns. A lot of our brothers and sisters spent their money wrong and didn't invest in themselves. And now we living in a situation where, the government's got the one up on us again. They got us locked in with drugs. They got you locked in on these pills. They got you locked in with alcohol. They got you locked in with a gun. They got you locked in thinking that your mental health has you in a form of arrested development. You understand? So we're not ourselves. And we openly claim it. When you look online, you could see people wanting to be everything but themselves. People want to be indigenous. People want to be Indian. People want to be everything but black. When we come from the essential blackness, the great womb of triple darkness, the infinity of zero, that feminine energy of zero that created the first atom, ATOM, Allah, the original man. But we want to be everything but black. And that self-hatred, we could see that it has us imitating other people, living like savages on all fours. We think that the Masons have some kind of special knowledge that could put us on. These guys got our knowledge and they not even upright. They try and civilize themselves. And we out here losing our civilization, dying like savages, trying to be like them. So we got to get back to ourselves. We got to get out these caves. We just in a mental space where being in these caves is hurting us more than it's helping us. And trying to be like everybody else is making it worse. We got to stop imitating savages. And we got to stand upright and get some righteousness. As I said earlier, there's a true history of Moses, and a lot of people don't know that. I didn't know it until I started studying the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And what I came across is the true history of Moses, And the true history of Moses is very important. I think about this all the time. It's something that I'll share. And it's not up for, I don't care if you believe it, if you take it or not. It's not really up to me. It's just my job to share as your brother. And I hope that this helps somebody like it helped me. So the true history of Moses is after Yaqub made the white man on the island of Patmos. They were exiled to the hills and caves of Europe where they crossed the burning sands. Most of them died across the burning sands. That's what Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells us and teaches us. Once they got into the caves, they spent 2,000 years in the caves until Musa, God was sent to civilize them. And it said when Moses got to the caves that at the foot of the cave, he was met by a dog, which became their best friend. And, you know, he had a hard time trying to civilize them. You know, they didn't stand upright. He had to put a board in their back to make them stand upright. At nighttime, he had to sleep in a pit surrounded by fire just to keep them off of him. And, you know, Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Honorable Elijah Muhammad teach us that Moses had a hard time trying to civilize the devil, you know, trying to civilize the white man. And through that struggle, he was able to civilize them with just one book of arithmetic out of 59,999, one book of mathematics, you know. And with that one book, everything that is seen is what you know right now. When they came out of the caves, they took advantage of Moses. They lied and stabbed Moses in the back for back of a better terminology. You know, that's my terminology. And what we've seen, and that is super important, because what we've seen is as that man has came out of caves, he's raped, pillaged, and brought carnage to the whole planet. And that's very important, because once you get out of the caves, what are you going to do? When you mentally get out of the caves, what are you going to do? There's some things that you could do. What are you going to do? Are you going to go seek revenge? Are you going to do the same and try to put everybody inside of the caves? Is that your move? What are you going to do? You know, because one of the things about becoming upright is once you understand the nature and the issue of the person that you're dealing with, you have a choice now. Do you accept responsibility, or do you go out and rape and pillage and create carnage? You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when and if you ever get out of the caves? You know, that's something that you need to think about, because a lot of us just think about what happens when we solve the problem. We don't think about how our solutions to problems in the past might be the whole reason why we're in the caves now. You know, and so when you praying and asking God to give you what you want, like he doesn't know already what you want and the situation that you're in. But when you're doing that, think about how you don't think about what you'll do when you get out of it. Are you going to be stand up? Are you going to, what is going to be your consistent movements after that? And that's how you have to understand, are you righteous, and are you stand up in what you want, or else you'll be right back in the caves, you know? And the goal is to get out of the caves. So how do we get out of the caves? How do we get out of the caves and stay out? You say, Brother Charles 7X, how do we get out of this mental cave and this mental space that we're in? How? And then once we get out, how do we stay out? Well, there's a program that's built, and a lot of you are scared to take it, and I understand why, because, you know, you've been taught that being black is a bad thing. You've been taught that who you are is a bad thing. You've been taught yourself through somebody else, through their lens, because they came out of the caves and they see you. And not only are they upset and frustrated that you didn't spend the time in the caves, they are also envious at how resilient you are. And so by getting you to lose your nature and trick you into wanting to be like them, they can make you lose knowledge of self. You understand? So the first set is knowledge of self. And like I said, I understand and know why you brothers and sisters are scared of true knowledge of self. You know, you rather get it in places that allow you to lie to yourself, you know, in places that will make it easy for you to blame somebody else, you know. And when you blame somebody else, it makes it easy on yourself to stay halfway in the caves. But you can't do that. You got to be accountable. And like I said, there's a whole plan. You know, you could start studying the teachings of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and get a true history of yourself and a true understanding. You know, just listen and start to dig and buy some books and get an understanding, because as Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, we've been taught wrong. We've been taught wrong. And a person who has true knowledge of self and knows who they are, knowledge of God and knowledge of the devil, can't be taken advantage of and can't be led astray. And guess what? You can't be led into a cave. So you got to get that knowledge of self, and you got to get it from a teacher that looks like you and represents you. You know, you have to get a true understanding of the Bible, because the Bible has been weaponized and used against you in a way that has held you back and pushed you further in the caves. You know, we got to get a true understanding of the Quran, because the Quran, our misunderstanding from our open enemy, you know, they've risen out of the caves and mentally put us back into them. So a true understanding of the caves will have you walking in righteousness and upright, looking for peace. You know, then you have to accept your own and be yourself. You have to accept the skin that you're in, the melanin that you're in, the condition that you're in. You have to understand that you're responsible and you are a God. You know, sisters, you are a God. And when you decide and listen to that inner voice, that voice of accusation, the voice inside of you that tells you when you're doing the wrong things or when you're doing the right things, and it tells you that it's time for you to make the right decisions and go about things the right way. You know what I mean? That voice right there is the voice that you need to pay attention to, and a lot of us do not. You know, and that lack of not paying attention to that voice has us not accepting our own and being ourselves, and helps keeps us in the cave. You don't kill the voice of accusation, because you're killing the voice of God, and that's how you end up in that cave still. So you got to accept yourself and you got to accept your own and be yourself. You got to accept the fact that you are where you are. You are who you are. You're born into the situation that you're born in, but you don't have to stay into that situation. You don't have to remain in that situation. You don't have to lay in that situation. All you have to do is know who you are and stand up and put one foot in front of the other, be accountable. But we know that could be hard. We know that could be hard. And so we have the Nation of Islam to help our brothers and sisters, to give you a hand and say, we here, brother, we here, sister. Try to help you get out of those caves. You know, so that's how we get out of the caves. Knowledge of self, you know, studying, accepting our own and being ourselves, and being accountable, having an understanding that if we want to change things, if we want this to be different, if we want to make our lives be whatever we want them to be as gods, then we got to do that. And it's not going to be easy. You know, you can't just lay down in the cave and wait for somebody to come save you. You got to save yourself, brother. You got to save yourself, sister. You got to accept yourself. You gotta say okay. Like, even if there's a brother here to help you right now, you gotta say, I want the help for myself, and make that decision for self. And that decision will allow everything to come to you. You gotta get up out these caves. All of us. Can't let that COVID-19 put you in the cave. Can't let that bad job or even a great job put you in the cave. Can't let some man or woman put you in the caves. Can't do that, you know? Gotta get yourself out the caves. So if you want more information, you can get more information about the Nation of Islam at NOI.org. You know, definitely scroll all the way down to the Nations program in the bottom left. You know, and you can sign up and get information sent right to your email. If it asks who put you, who recommended, just put 250491, Brother Charles 7X. You can also get more information about me at 7xotg.com, blackisgod.net. If you want to support, you can support. If you want to join the Patreon, join the Patreon. That helps more information like this and other things go. Make sure you like, subscribe, you know, make sure you share and stay in tune. Brother Charles 7X, 7X O.T.G. All praise be unto Allah. Thank you for listening. Thank you for spending your time with your brother. And make sure you guys know, get out them caves, bro. Make sure you get out them caves, for sure.